This video is about find the trig function of acute angles. Use the given trig function value of the acute angle theta to find the exact value of the other trig function value of theta. First of all, let's talk about these two trig identities. For this acute angle theta, we can create this right triangle. We can use one of the angle in this triangle labeled as theta. Therefore, for sin theta, we know opposite over hypotenuse, that's A over C. For cosine theta, that equals B over C. And tangent theta equals A over B. Since this is a right triangle, we have C squared equals A squared plus B squared. For cosine squared theta plus sine squared theta, that equals B squared over C squared plus A squared over C squared. So we get the C squared as a denominator, B squared plus A squared. That will be C squared over C squared, which is 1. So for acute angle, we do know this trig identity is true. Basically, for any angle theta, this is always true. For tangent theta, that equals A over B. Top and bottom, we can divide it by C. So A over C and B over C. A over C, that's sine theta. B over C is cosine theta. So for this identity is true for acute angle theta. In the future, we can prove for any angle theta, this identity is also always true. Since this is an acute angle theta, therefore for sine, cosine, tangent are all positive. So for this cosine squared theta plus sine squared theta equals 1. Both sides, we subtract sine squared theta. We will get cosine squared theta equals 1 minus sine squared theta. Square root both sides. Since sine theta and cosine theta, tangent theta are all positive. Therefore, cosine theta equals positive square root 1 minus sine square theta. For sine theta, you will do the same thing to get square root 1 minus cosine square theta. So remember this formula we get from sine square theta plus cosine square theta equals 1. We got to use this to figure out sine theta from cosine theta or cosine theta from sine theta. Sine theta equals 3 over 5. Therefore, for cosine theta equals, we will do square root 1 minus sine square theta. Therefore, you will get 1 minus sine square theta equals 3 over 5 squared, which means square root 1 minus 9 over 25. For this one, we can change this into 25 over 25. So we get square root 16 over 25, which means 4 over 5. So tangent theta equals sine theta over cosine theta, which means 3 over 5 over 4 over 5. In this complex fraction, we can reduce 5. So we get the 3 over 4. Let's go to number 2. Given cosine theta equals 1 over 3, find sine theta and tangent theta. For cosine square theta plus sine square theta equals 1, remember, we can do the cosine theta equals square root 1 minus sine square theta. For sine theta equals square root 1 minus cosine square theta. Therefore, for this sine theta equals square root 1 minus cosine square theta, let's do 1 over 3 squared. So we get square root 1 minus 1 over 9. For this 1, we can change into 9 over 9. So let's do over 1, then it's multiplied by 9, multiplied by 9. So 9 over 9. Therefore, you will get 9 minus 1, that is 8 over 9. For square root of 9, definitely less 3. For square root of 8, it can be divided by 4. So we do 4 times 2. Square root of 4, that's 2 square root of 2. So we get the 2 square root of 2. And for tangent theta, you will get sine theta over cosine theta. Sine theta, that is 2 square root of 2 over 3. And cosine theta, that's 1 over 3. This is a complex fraction. For both denominator, you can reduce. So your answer is 2 square root of 2. Let's go to number 3. Given tangent theta equals 4 over square root of 5, find cosine theta and sine theta. For this right triangle, suppose this is a theta. We can label this as A, here's B. For tangent theta, that's A equals 4 and B equals square root of 5. We can figure out this C equals square root A squared plus B squared. A squared will be 16, B squared, that will be 5, so square root of 21. In other words, when you have like a tangent theta equals 4 over square root of 5, you can make both divided by C. So you get 4 over square root of 21 and square root of 5 over square root of 21. Then the top will be sine theta and the bottom will be cosine theta. In other words, we can write down sine theta equals 4 over square root of 21. Remember the trick when you have 1 over square root of A, I can write down square root of A over A. Therefore, for this 4 over square root of 21, I can write down square root of 21 over 21. 4, you just carry on. That will be the sine theta. For cosine theta equals square root of 5 over square root of 21. So we do square root of 5 over square root of 21. For top number square root of 5, we cannot do anything about that. Therefore, for square root of 21 as denominator, I can write down square root of 21 over 21. Square root of 5 carry on, then you do the multiplication. So you get the square root 105 over 21. For this square root of 105, it's simplified square root because it cannot be divided by 4, 9, 25, 49, and so on, those perfect square numbers. Let's go to number 4. Use the given trig function value of the angle theta in a right triangle. Theta is an acute angle. Then we need to figure out the exact value of the other trig function, value of theta. Remember, if you are given sine theta, how to get cosine theta? Or you are given cosine theta, how to get the sine theta? We got to use sine theta equals square root 1 minus cosine theta squared. For cosine theta equals square root 1 minus sine square theta. If you are given tangent theta, how to get the sine and the cosine? For tangent theta, you can label as A over B. Then you divide it by A over square root of A squared plus B squared, which means that is C. B, we will do the same thing. A squared plus B squared. Then top will be sine theta. This is a sine theta. And the bottom will be cosine theta. That's the way we will figure out the trig function of acute angle. For this tangent theta you are given, we will figure out that C, which means this we label as A and this we label as B. So you have square root A squared plus B squared. That is 4 squared plus 3 square root of 2 squared. For 4 squared, we know that's 16 plus 3 squared is 9. Square root of 2 squared, that's 2. So basically, that's 18. This is 18. 16 plus 18, that is a square root 34. Check those 4 numbers, 4, 9, 25, 49. 34 cannot be divided by those 4 numbers, which means it's a simplified radicals. Therefore, for tangent theta, we can write down 4 over 3 square root of 2. Top and bottom, we divided by this C. That is 4 over square root of 34. And 3 square root of 2 over square root of 34. And for sine theta, that will be 4 over square root of 34. Then we will simplify this. For square root of 34, we can do square root of 34 over 34. Then carry on this 4. Reduce. You will get 2 square root of 34 over 17. For cosine theta, we got 3 square root of 2 over square root of 34. Since both in the square root, we can reduce. This is 1. This is 17. So basically, we get 3 over square root of 17. Square root of 17, we can write down square root of 17 over 17. Then this 3 carry on.